All right.
All right, this is on you. This next one.
Yeah, so I got a question for you. Raise your hand if you have an answer for me. Like, why in the hell are colleges and universities in the United States still mandating vaccines for the spring semester? Or you won't be allowed to attend. Does anyone have an answer for me on that question?
Because the vaccine, I don't even want to repeat that.
You have no idea?
I repeated because the vaccine prevents the spread. Because I don't know.
I have no idea why colleges and universities in the United States are still mandating vaccines for the spring semester. It really makes no sense at this point. I mean, for young people, right? I could understand maybe if it was for universities where you had people with comorbidities, like it was called Comorbidity University. Like, and those are the only people that were allowed to attend that university, right? These are people with comorbidities, maybe elderly comorbidity people.
In one university.
Okay. Can you imagine that student union?
No.
Comorbidity university where you, maybe I could understand it then, but even then, like forcing people to do something with their bodies, I still can't, stand behind. So, I want you to listen to a couple of doctors who, or had some thoughts about this, on mandating vaccines for universities. Take a listen.
Dr. Hamadi, there are still some schools that are forcing students to get the COVID vaccine, like Harvard University. The website states that in order to register for spring term, students have to be compliant with all vax requirements. This includes the annual flu shot, as well as the bivalent Omicron-specific COVID-19 booster. Again, Dr. Hamadi, I mean, this is forcing a shot on students that are completely healthy and have an infinitesimally small chance of dying from this virus. Don't understand this, considering you can spread it with the vaccine anyway, right? I mean, you can spread the virus even if you're vaccinated.
Exactly, Laura, and that's the problem, is when the vaccines first came out, we were told repeatedly by the drug companies, by the White House, by so many others, that this will prevent you from getting infected and spreading it. We know that is no longer true. It was never true, but now, after so many months and years of experience now, we know that's absolutely false. So what is the purpose of forcing people who are perfectly healthy, who are in some of the lowest risk strata, to take something which we know also could have side effects? Every medical decision is a risk-benefit ratio, and when you have minimal to zero benefit, but you have some risk, no matter how much that is, that risk-benefit ratio may not work out. And so it's frankly, I think, unethical, because it's coercive, and you're forcing people to take something that puts them at risk with minimal benefit, not only to themselves, but even to the people around them, given what we now know about the vaccines. On top of that, we have, as Dr. McCary was just pointing out, very little data, especially regarding this bivalent Omicron booster shot. We have antibody production data. We don't have data on anything related to mortality, long COVID, serious infections or hospitalizations. And for children, we have actually zero data. They're just referencing the adult data. With that.
Oh, so zero data. So, but you remember the head of the CDC in the fall, she's like, but our recommendation, when she was asked about this, we played that sound on our show. What's your recommendation? Well, our recommendation going into the fall is just everyone get the booster. Just get it. Don't even ask questions. Just get it. That's what she said. So here are the colleges still requiring the COVID booster shots. And what's interesting is these schools are now like pivoting to require the booster shots. So not even just the straight up, they're just pivoting to the booster shot. So here are all, let's see if your state pops up here. Okay, Alabama, nothing. Alaska, nothing. Arizona, nothing. Indiana, you got DePaul University, St. Mary's, Holy Cross, University of Notre Dame, Valparaiso. California, look at California. Holy smokes. All of these California universities and colleges. The list is pretty endless there. Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Bates College, Colby College in Maine, Maryland, Johns Hopkins. Oh, man. Massachusetts, Amherst College, Bentley College, Bay Path, Colorado, Fort Lewis, University of Colorado at Boulder, University of Denver, Connecticut. I mean, the list is endless. Delaware, District of Columbia, Florida, nothing.
Because in Florida, the Surgeon General has said that he does not recommend it for all populations, and especially not the mRNA for
kids,
for college-aged men.
Yeah. So Florida, there you go. Arizona also not on this list. Hawaii, Michigan, Idaho not on this list. Illinois, Minnesota. This is really, I mean, and that was just up through, now we can go N through Z. Oregon, Nebraska, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Look at all these. Bucknell, Cabrini, Carnegie Mellon University, Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine.
I mean, when most workplaces have now dropped a vaccine mandate, why on a population of mostly healthy young people would this continue to be in place?
Great question.
Especially when you have the choice to vaccinate yourself if you want to. Why do you care about your neighbor being vaccinated or not, or your coworker or your classmate?
Well, Biden's COVID czar, his name is Ashish Jha, this afternoon, he said that he thinks this is God's will for all of us to get the COVID shot. It's God's will. That's why you were given these two arms. Listen.
I really believe this is why God gave us two arms, one for the flu shot and the other one for the COVID shot.
Okay.
And there you saw. Yeah, that's why you got two arms.
Where's faith in that scenario?
No.
Like, you're supposed to just have faith and not have to take anything.
And this is also why God gave us the biopharmaceutical complex.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you notice Dr. Fauci was in that video? He was in the upper left-hand quadrant of that video. So today was his last White House briefing. And the guy went on, he dropped a bomb. He went out on a high note. I was like, wait a second. Is this old? Like this press conference? No. This is today. This is him today saying this about getting boosted and getting the vaccine. Dr. Fauci, watch.
Vaccinated and unboosted versus vaccinated plus boosted. That doesn't mean you shouldn't get boosted, but the real danger is in the people who have not been vaccinated. So that's where we expect, if we're going to see a problem this winter, it's going
to be among those people.
Okay.
Goodbye, Fauci. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Those people. Didn't they get on Trump about that by saying things like that? Like, isn't that basically inciting violence, kind of?
Yeah, those people.
Establish that?
On both sides. Those people on both sides. Those people.
They're going to really have a problem. Okay.
So we have, last week the Senate voted 62-36 to end the emergency declaration. Although Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer claims that his vote was falsely recorded as an aye. And then they fixed that. The declaration of a public health emergency has been used, of course, as a rationale through a lot of this to suspend the rule of law for nearly 3 years. The Biden administration then, of course, referring to the state of emergency as a pretext for suspending student loan payments, right? As well as unconstitutional rent moratoriums, a whole host of things, asking for $10 billion additional in COVID response. And then he's threatened to veto any new congressional efforts to end this national emergency, according to a statement from the Office of Management and Budget. So he's going to veto anything. So if Republicans now in control of the House try to pull something, he's going to veto it.
So then keep us in perpetual emergency.
Yeah, I mean that's at least through the spring at least. I mean that's where we are right now, and maybe he'll extend it again. He's going to keep going with this because it's certainly cover for the biopharmaceutical complex.
Sure.
So why not?
I'm waiting for the lights to come out, the security level lights.
Oh, they have where do they have that in New Zealand? Right,
orange,
red alert,
or is that in Australia? Australia has the traffic light system.
Well, the CDC does do a sort of green, orange, red for certain communities, and you can search your community. They already do have something like that. It's not really used in the news.
They could just double up on Smokey the Bear. They could say fire, chances high today, and COVID green.
Bubba Smith says he had this done in our Rumble chat, and says he had a heart attack a few days later, then a blood clot in his leg. Bubba says. Bubba, I hope you're okay. That's awful. Dr. Rima Libo is a doctor, and she says that this is all about the immunization agenda 2030 from the United Nations and the World Health Organization. This is Dr. Rima. And she says the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the World Health Organization, all part of this. And it's printed right on there, implementing the Immunization Agenda 2030 by adding these additional round of vaccines. Listen to what she has to say about that.
Immunization Agenda 2030, impact goal indicators and targets. lays out that by 2030, there will be 500 new vaccines introduced. And under the Immunization Agenda 2030, which is part of One Health, no man, woman, or child will have an exemption. Well, of course, the elite will have an exemption because they wouldn't do this to their bodies. But you and I, those of us who survive to that point, will be forcibly jabbed. No one left behind is how they put it, which really means no one left alone.
So that's the implementation, implementing the Immunization Agenda 2030. You can read all about it right on the World Health Organization's website.
I mean, we've already seen that happen in New York City when the garbage collectors sued the city for vaccine mandates and showed that there was an exemption in the city for entertainers and artists. They did not have to get vaccinated or follow vaccine mandates, but trash collectors, sanitation workers who had so little interaction with the public were forced to take this or else lose their job. They won that litigation, but there's still an appeal to get their jobs back. But she's right. The elite will not be subjected to this. It's just sort of the normal idiots like us.
Brad Wildman in our chat says it's divine vaccination.
Okay.
Yeah, divine vaccination. The God wanted you to have two arms for a flu shot and for a COVID shot. So if anyone has an idea as to why these colleges, I mean, and I thought it was just going to be a few. As I started going through the data, I thought, maybe it's just going to be Harvard, where this kind of story. No. Hundreds upon hundreds of universities and colleges across the United States sticking to this mandate.
Yeah,
really, really troubling.
That's shocking in this day and age.
Yeah, really troubling. All right, we've got more news to get to on this old Tuesday. We're going to talk about Sweden could be vindicated over how it handled things during the lockdowns compared to what's going on in the United Kingdom. We'll show you that. Plus, we're going to talk about a little World Cup, wokeism, on all of that. But first, on this show, we're constantly trying to better understand the world around us.